My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. Now, we are live on both YouTube and Twitch. Get me off the front page of Reddit, that's for sure. Be staring at that shit all day. I'm so glad I don't have like a third monitor while I'm at work. That's right, I'm all business, baby. Good morning. By the way, in case you're wondering how my week's going, the bulk of conversations I've had this week have been with people that need to declare bankruptcy. I got hit with the affordability bug. hmm Morning to the missus, my wife, the Taylor, and then Allison, Debs, Squint. Hey y'all. Hope you have a good day. Don't to be too hard on yourselves. Right on, right on. All right. Seven men charged after investigation into child sexual exploitation in Bristol, in the UK. Yeah, here, chew on this for a minute. I saw this article and was like, oh, they'll want to read this first. Listen, the Epstein files are horrific. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is a fucking horrible person. Teflon, I don't call him Teflon Don for nothing. Good to go? We all know. We all know. It's just better. Okay. Shutdown deal sparks latest round of Democrat infighting. It's awful. If you, the CIA's secret mission to sabotage Afghanistan's opium. It's like, why? Right? Don't don't American companies make their drugs using Afghanistan opium? Am I wrong? I live in Indianapolis. We have what's called Purdue Pharma here. What you think they don't import fucking opium? Get the fuck out of here. In a decade long covert operation, U.S. spy agency dropped modified poppy seeds in an attempt to degrade the potency. God damn, that tells you how fucking potent the opium out of Afghanistan is. The United States, I mean, that's not even that bad. We just dropped genetically modified opium that was weaker because it's fucking killing us. Ah, yeah, that's why it says message redacted down there. What the fuck? All right, the Ukraine and the United States are gonna start producing the Interceptor drone together. I saw this yesterday. It's a I don't know if it's heat seeking, but it's like guided. It's an anti-drone drone, interceptor drones. Yeah. Ooh, baby, that's a sexy fucking bird. NATO flexes air power as the U.S. B-52 practices strike runs near Russia's doorstep. Look at that fucking beautiful airplane. How do you get to be like the shooty shooty bang bang for NATO? I want to do that. Calls grow to help South African citizens fighting in Ukraine. 17th South African citizens ensnared by the country's dire unemployment crisis and false hopes of well paid security work are now stranded in Donbass, a conflict zone in Ukraine. A family of a 24-year-old who was recruited to fight in the conflict by what he thought was an opportunity from an official linked to the Umkodo Weeks, the MK party. I don't know. The man whose name is being held for additionally pursued a career in public service, applying repeatedly to South African police service without success. That's terrible. So they treat people even worse elsewhere. So, whew. Providing Ukraine with frozen Russian assets will destabilize the Russian system. Mm-mm. I want to see Russia fall in my lifetime. Russia, Israel, I want to see those things fall. All right, so here's a story I saw this morning. Was like, oh fuck. Putin's Russia is preparing for a big war soon. Um, Ukraine says. Kind of goes without saying. Oriel Oblast, farther inland. Ukraine's running bombing runs, drone attacks, and missile attacks. Sorry. I hate when a pencil pusher says they've done everything they can do. Here's Marco Rubio saying they've exhausted their potential to tighten sanctions against Russia. They can't do anything else. They've done all they can do, guys. We can't fuck up their economy any worse, is what we're really saying. Good morning. By the way, have a fantastic Thursday. I hope you enjoy some professional unionized football on Amazon today. Justice's Waiting Room, a daily podcast discussing news and politics, is live on Twitch and YouTube. Morning, everybody. JWR is the hashtag. And of course, Free Palestine every morning, top of the show. Slava Ukraine. And if I've learned anything in the past week, is that you cannot trust a Democrat. Lil Marco Rubio just said he's done all he can do. Lil Marco. It's probably not his name either. Global tanker shortage hits 1 billion barrels amid sanctions. $37 billion loss for Russia, for the Kremlin this year. They're just going to dump those into the ocean. Hell yeah. Ukraine says it foiled Russian terrorist attacks on the Kiev metro and entertainment spots. I don't know, man. I'm sure if Russia were kicking ass and taking names, there'd be articles all over the place, but there's just not. Japan eyes tripling their departure tax to grapple with over tourism. Look at this shit. So, Japan, quality of life, super high, by the way. People's length of life, super long, by the way. People live to be older in Japan. And I wasn't going to say anything, Bob. You were a firefighter. I gotta let you have a pass every now and then. Who knows how many lives you've saved? Um, yeah. Well, it's not that. That's not what the story is. The story is the Japanese quality of life is so high that people like to travel. It's not that Japan is suffering from over tourism. It's that Japanese people are going to travel. I believe tripling departure tax. No, I mean I might have it wrong. Let me see if I can break it. I can't break it, so I can't read the story. Maybe you're right. Japan is considering an increase of at least threefold in its departure tax, raising revenue to address damage caused by over tourism as the country receives more visitors. You're right. I'm wrong. It's just not enough information. I needed to read that whole article. I'm stupid. Yeah, I'm sure they're all trading stocks and shit. Utter hypocrisy. A tobacco firm lobbied against the rules in Africa that are law in UK. British American Tobacco pushed Zambian ministers to drop or delay ad bans, health warnings, and restrictions on flavored products. Jeez. Basically, nobody wants to smoke cigarettes and shit, right? So big tobaccos moved to Africa because we don't people don't smoke like that. Let me explain something to you. As someone who grew up outside of big cities and who has spent the last 20 plus year living in Indianapolis, the main thing that I've seen just fucking die post COVID is people standing outside smoking cigarettes. I was a fucking cigarette smoker forever. People just stopped, which is a good thing. This is a good thing. I'm ecstatic to have stopped smoking cigarettes. I couldn't fucking breathe. So, yeah. Imagine if they just took up cannabis. I mean, obviously that's also terrible, Jared. Don't That's a terrible idea. Don't say it again. Just pointing out all the diplomacy happening around us. Yeah, it's gonna take some THCA products off counters and shit. I fucking hate this regime. But do you see how this regime is the polar opposite of what I am suggesting is like way cooler and better and more people like it? These healthcare corporations are going to continue to poorly manage your healthcare and cause the early death, your early death. I am not gonna ever use my platform to tell people not to enroll in healthcare. That's fucking dumb. And there isn't enough money in the world to get me to help people enroll in healthcare. I already did that. Needing pumping chemicals in our cannabis. Yeah, that's why I was like, never mind. It should just be, hey, the difference between a socialist society and a capitalist society is in a capitalist society, a single company is going to basically monopolize every industry. That's the world we live in now. Every business, every type of business, there is a monopoly. There's a big boy in that market that controls market share. Okay? Um, in a socialist economy, much like I operate in now, the people decide whether that business is going to make it or not because they're going to decide whether they do business with it or not. Right? So what I've tried to tell people on my platform to do is, hey, if you see a business, you see a need, you know, what I think there has to be a convert your house business that will help plant a garden, put in solar panels, set up water gathering, set up your irrigation, right? That has to be a business because it has to happen. While there's still um, money in the middle class, the middle class has to harden itself, which is gonna mean growing your own food and making your own power and destabilizing these industries that these cockroaches are running to, which is your power. Mm-hmm. Yeah, banning THC is bullshit. Yeah, I'm a socialist, and that means I think that things like cannabis can set the country atop the world, and we just say, hey, look, you've been doing it wrong this whole time. We're anti-war unless it comes to fucking Russia and fuck Russia, and then same we're not homies with Israel either. We're not exactly warring with them, right? Foreign ministers, public G7 diplomats publicly show support for Ukraine. I need missiles on Putin's doorstep. Hmm. So you remember how the there was a heist at the Louvre, right? Ancient statues were stolen from Syria's National Museum. Of course, Reuters positing Rubio dismissed criticism of the U.S. Caribbean strikes at the G7 meeting. So this directly affects Indiana. Okay. Duha Color Services. Colwell Color Ltd. plans to move equipment and operations from Colwell's facility in Indiana to Winnipeg. Yeah, right in time for the holidays, Al. Love to see it. There's gonna be a lot of meals over the holidays where one side of the table is like, and the other side of the table is like this. Ha ha! Yeah. Yep. Remember that I told you this. They keep sugarcoating this shit about climate change. Read my lips. The climate change is off the rails. We are into orders of magnitude. We are in unknown territory. My advice is to keep your head on a swivel and try to stay out of the direct path of any storm and just survive. It's like fucking 2012, except in slow motion. It doesn't all happen in like 90 minutes, right? Yeah, happy Thanksgiving! With these Epstein files coming out, I kind of want to go to Thanksgiving now and just be like, another fucking typhoon. Typhoon Feng Wong brings floods to Taiwan. Hey, just remember, say it with me. I've been saying it so long that I'm surprised you haven't you haven't just like this isn't in your brain hole already. Remember the president of the United States used his wives, his children. He worked with his best friend Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for the better part of 20 years running an organized crime ring primarily funded by Donald J. Trump. And oh, by the way, that $1 billion that Donald Trump gave Jeffrey Epstein was funneled to Russia. And oh, by the way, the Epstein files also include Putin and Bibi and Elon. Yeah. But this is 100% pulling the ladder door up as you climb aboard your spaceship and leave. That's what this is. This regime is trying to do. This accelerationist shit. Just know that there's nowhere to go. Bitch also tortured her dog. Why the fuck does she have puppies in prison? Wait, who tortured a dog? Ghislaine Maxwell did? Why am I not surprised? I think we talked about this yesterday, but yeah, here's a Guardian article where the French Prime Minister says, yeah, yeah, I didn't know she tortured a dog. I thought that was Christy known, but yeah, the worst people ever. And if you ever wondered, hey, where does all this bigotry come from? Where does this anti-LGBTQ shit come from? Russia. Think about how hard we worked over the last 25 years in the education system. You know, I've been in college in 3 separate decades. Okay? And have worked that whole time. And with the public. I like people. Okay? In the last like 15 years, Jesus Christ. I mean, I can't say I've never not wanted to punt a small dog, but more because I can, not because I should. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a football, just bouncing around. I couldn't help myself. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, we did all this work over the last 25 years to make the classroom and the workplace more accepting here in the United States. I can't tell you how many meetings I've sat in about being accepting of people, whether their color, their skin, their religious orientation, blah 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 blah. I'm a left-handed person, so you know I've been um, profiled against my whole life because I'm a lefty. Yeah. But think about all the work we did in the United States in the last 25 years to be like more open and accepting of other people. And then there are people out there that are like, where's all this racism and bigotry? Where's all this bigotry coming from? Russia. In 2004, so over 20 years ago, Russia said the key to the West is white supremacy. The key to white survival is racism. Ba-da! There you go. And if you ever wondered what what is what is misinformation coming out of Russia looking like? Anything that talks about husband and wife and children and like you can only be the sexual orientation that you were born with and like these just dumb fucking rules. Where's this shit coming from? Russia. Hmm? So when Putin comes out, or when Putin comes out, Trump comes out and is like writing anti-trans shit, who do you think he talked to? So just so you know, that attempt to divide us. Former Georgian president, Georgia the country, not the state, Mikhail Saakashvili returned to prison. fucking insane. Ender's Game type shit. One operator, 100 drones. Ukraine first to deploy AI controlled drone wall in combat. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. And again, it ain't just here. Don't ever think for one moment that what's happening in the United States is like unique. Okay? In in Germany, they found a wild form of polio in their sewage. The leader of the far right AFD. If you ever wondered after Donald Trump dies, who's the leader of the club not made for you or me? This guy right here. Wild form of polio. I didn't think I could clench my butt cheeks any tighter. But this frog looking motherfucker, co leader of the far right alternative for Germany, the second largest party in Germany's parliament, has suggested that Poland is as much of a threat to his country as Russia is. This tells me Russia's going to attack Poland. Tino Trupala. He said, Russia is no threat to us. No shit. AFD, like many far right groups in Europe, has been accused of sympathy toward and even links to Russia. Trupala's comments were quickly condemned. Yeah, I'm just basing my opinions based on words spoken and actions taken by people in the AFD trying to sell Germany on Russia not being a threat and saying Poland's a bigger threat. And in my eyes, it's like Russia's gearing up for a big war, and it's like, well, where are they going to go? Poland. Yeah, I can't believe they think they can expand their war. Bots. Bot army. Yeah, they're overplaying their position. South Sudan president sacks powerful vice president Bull Mel. Yeah, go figure. You got a man in charge in Russia, and they're gonna not complete a project before they start another one. Right? That's the most male-dominated, stupid shit that men do. Squint said they don't have the people or power to do that. So yeah, no, you and I know this because we can read. Yeah, moving on to the next victim. Yep, and the thing about it, they're stretched thin, and what do you think they're gonna like morally correct attack Poland, or do you think they're gonna bomb fucking schools? This is why I'm a fan of snuff them the fuck out, get this shit the fuck over with, and everyone that sympathized with them. Stop this madness. People are dying. But we don't do that. Capitalism is involved, which means money has to be made. Uh, they had to give all the rich people time to get their money out. Sanctions. Okay. What the fuck? Italy is pr- Italy is investigating claims of tourists paying to shoot civilians in Bosnia in the 90s. Would not fucking surprise me. Censorship disguised as law. Investigative journalists in Peru push back against the government crackdown. Media partners are spearheading an attempt to overturn a law that curtail crucial foreign funding. Just happy to see y'all. Hope you're hope you're having a good day so far. Feel like no real news, at least world news. Pakistan parliament votes to give new army chief or give their army chief new powers and legal immunity. Hmm. Must have been a God-fearing Christian. North Korea bans foreign currency wages, mandates cash payments, and revised labor law. The haves have been hunting the have-nots since the beginning of time. Sorry. Mm. All right. Yeah. The Iran drought continues. So you've been following this story about Tehran. Like, it's hard to. Iran has some money and they can't make rainfall. Do you think that's a problem that's like isolated to Iran? Or do you think it's just going to spread from there? Because it's, I mean, it's like, it's all going to come at once. Everybody's going to be really confused. But like, a whole ass island country, Tortuga, had to evacuate and move everything they had elsewhere. Such a severe drought in Iran that they are evacuating whole ass cities. Praying for rain. Do you think this is an isolated issue or one that's going to continue to grow and spread? Because I can promise you, drought is not unique. It was pretty dry here for a long time. So, President Zelensky is demanding his Justice Minister Herman Hashulashenko Halushenko and Energy Minister Svetlana Hryunchuk. Wow. Amid a major energy corruption scandal and a loss of public trust. Hey, if you want some really cheap oil, Russia's got you on the DL. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. About 4 more minutes of world politics. We dedicate about half our show. It's important for me as someone who has founded a political party that I keep my thumb on the pulse of world news because again, what's happening in the world is going to end up happening here. So let's try to. I know it's difficult. I know we want to just talk about us, right? But UN watchdog hasn't been able to verify Iran's stockpile of near weapons grade uranium. Why did I say utonium? Yeah. It's all good. I mean, you're free to talk about whatever you want, but I like to make sure I reel you back in and say, hey, just a few more minutes on world news. I know we're getting itchy. See, these countries are all doing it wrong. They're passing anti-LGBT shit. Hey, I want I want you to know that just like I don't think that the government should make any laws prohibiting like the practice of freedom of religion, right? I don't think that the US government should be passing any laws restricting people's burp freedom to just like be who the fuck they want to be. It's like leave people the fuck alone. How about that? Try that for a while. What if we just stop fucking bothering people that are just trying to live their fucking lives? How about that? I can't believe it. I have to say it in this country, but people that call themselves conservative aren't conservative at all. Conserving what? Sniper safaris. I cannot believe that. And we were just like, yeah, people rich have been paying to shoot poor people. Rising gas gangrene cases. Yeah, fuck freedom of expression, yeah. Yeah, we shouldn't be making laws affecting people's ability to express themselves. And then people that fly around that don't tread on me flag are the ones that tread on everybody else. Right. So speaking of the U.S. not able to sanction Russia any further, G7 partners are. All right. Okay, here's the last story, and then we'll move on. United 24 reporting Putin reportedly hides in cloned secret offices to evade Ukraine strikes. Think about is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it for Vladimir Putin to spend the last days of his life hiding in cloned offices all over Russia to avoid drone strikes in a war he started. Was it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth living in fear. And that's what he's doing. Living in fear. All these elected officials in the United States moving on to military bases, they are living in fear. They are afraid. They should be afraid. They should be afraid. hmm You should never underestimate the power of hungry white people. As someone who's never seen the power of like hungry white people, hopefully it's like hungry white people gathering together and trying to figure this out. Hey, we're fucked. We got to do something different. We are fucking ourselves. Yeah? The whites or not, that's cool. I got plenty of friends that aren't white and that I'm just as happy being friends with them. Okay? I'm guessing this judge in Missouri, here Mike, here's my beef with not wanting to associate with communists. George Carlin said that half of all people are stupid and the other half are even stupider. So my question to you, and again, keep in mind, friends, do you think they're smart enough to define communism? And do you think they can outline why they would prefer communism? Knowing that if you've done any fucking research on, and this ain't me versus you, what I'd say to them as a communist, if you've done any fucking research on communism at all, it has never worked. It has also never been voted on and voted into power by people, meaning people didn't fucking choose communism ever. Every time somebody that calls himself a communist has come to power, it's been through a coup, the military overthrowing the government. So if you cannot wrest power, WREST, from those that have it by means of the people voting, then you don't have the basis, a foundation upon which you can build like a communist movement. So if someone calls himself a communist, they're like, I root for abject failure. Consistently, just I'm just throwing that out there. Like, you're saying, like, I don't want to go, this person's a commie, and it's like, are they smart enough to even talk on that? Because they can't be. If someone calls themselves a commie, it's like, okay, you're a fucking loser. Cool. Failure? Because that's what communism is. There's zero evidence, none, showing you a communist country where it's like worked out. And when I say worked out, I mean the end goal of communism is a classless society where the wealth is distributed evenly. There is no example of that. Has never happened. And as I've said, it's because the people that get into power, they aren't doing it voting. They're doing it by overthrowing a government or committing a fucking coup. So when you get into power and you're a communist and you didn't do it by the will of the people, oh, then what did you do? Oh, like your own desire for power? And then are you likely? This group says Al Assad was great and North Korea was great. What the fuck? These people are stupid. I wouldn't go because they're dumb. Yeah, yeah. What happened to that white only town? How y'all doing? Hey, shout out to our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters. Yeah, don't let dumb people waste your time. Yeah. If I just had money coming out of my ear holes, I we would have already got a bank account, started fundraising. We would be paying Pathos so that I could get media spots. Um, I imagine I would get fired from my job pretty much immediately. I found out that the CEO of our company is private equity. So Epstein warned that Trump was evil beyond belief and mad after mental health scrutiny. Yeah, that's one of the things about me being a socialist and wanting to establish the American Socialist Party is that I think some of the people that are elected officials are policy writers and bill writers. And there are some people that are elected officials that they don't need to be lawyers and policy writers and bill writers. You need people that can be there. You need people that can speak. You need people that can speak truth to power. You need people that like to travel and like to coordinate and like to work with other people because those people are not frequently one and the fucking same. So I think that there's plenty of room for the American Socialist Party. Hmm. And the way I say it is democracy's fine. Let the Democrats make their democracy work because they've failed to fucking do that. Make it work. Meanwhile, instead of Citizens United and corporate welfare, the United States government is going to stop funding business. Period. Full stop. Stop doing it. Make sure that your military's funded. Make sure the states have all of the money that they need for those programs that this regime's trying to get rid of, right? And then we're going to work to expand all of these programs, universal health care, education, income, and housing, using the $1 trillion a year that we'll be able to save from all the corporate welfare that the U.S. gives away to big business, who then gives that money to their CEO and fires their best, which is these layoffs that these companies have been laying people off. So I got a lot of friends that I still think that I know the Constitution and Bill of Rights well enough that that's a good enough foundation for a government that I can see adding to it. I can see adding an amendment that we've tried to do the ratification of the what is it, the 28th 29th amendment or whatever. Like, hey, President Biden tried to do that. Um, and I think that it's important for the states to work. Each state needs to work to make itself self-sufficient outside of the federal government. And we need to work to weaken the federal government even further. I think they're weak as fuck. Burp. Think about all the bills that Donald Trump has tried to pass. Think about all of the executive orders that he's run up. And think about his actual effect in office, the things that he's actually accomplished. Nil. And this is because outside of like obeying the law, When you break the law, there's the law, and the law says no, and Donald Trump just gets distracted and moves on to the next thing. Now, the only problem is that he keeps coming back to things like uh, Garcia. I keep thinking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, about how Donald Trump is fixated on this young man, and it's just his inability to admit that he's wrong. Hmm. Yeah, there's not good justification or replacement for the Constitution and Bill of Rights. The problem I have with anyone saying like we need to start over, it's start over with what? What is the foundation of the future of America? Oh, you don't have a fucking Bill of Rights or a Constitution? Sorry, that's not gonna fly. We have that here. The problem is that we 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 evolved with capitalism in mind. And we said only by supporting big business can we push this country forward. And I can fucking tell you, small business is what's driving this motherfucker forward. You don't have to believe me right now. Oh, starting a business is a terrible idea right now, Jared. You say that. You say that. I talk to people about finance all day. Business owners are diving. They will have to be replaced. Mhm. But if you don't have a constitution, a set of rules to replace a set of rules, there is no going back. Nope. Constitution, Bill of Rights. And the problem is reading comprehension. From there, the problem is reading comprehension in that most people don't understand that these things aren't negotiable. We aren't negotiating these things as a basis of government. And then I just think that universal health care, education, income, and housing falls outside that. It does not fit within the Constitution or Bill of Rights. So that's part of the reason why you develop the American Socialist Party and that you want the best people to run for public office. And you want them to do it completely grassroots, no corporate handouts. And we want the may the best man win, or woman, or they, them, right? You just want like the best person for the job. Hmm. Yeah, Constitution's not up for debate, but the reason it's not up for debate is because there's no replacement. There's not a suitable replacement for a Constitution and Bill of Rights. There isn't one. What are you gonna do? Is it gonna turn into Wild Wild West? That sounds fucking stupid. That sounds really bad. Yep. And and I'll go even a step further. I like the Justice Manual. We just happened to fucking spend some time on that bitch, and we were like, yeah, Justice Manual pretty tight too. Mm-mm. And I want to make sure that that we understand that socialism is the parent and communism is like the bastard child of socialism. So let me explain. Communism contains socialism and it never cannot. Socialism does not have to contain communism. Mm-mm. And you said to me, it's not a sworn oath to it. Yeah, so did I. Mm-hmm. Right. And one of the main reasons that I don't think it's up for debate is because there's not a suitable replacement for it. What other careful document is there? There isn't a document that cared for its people like this. That's what makes it unique. New York Post, keep it in mind. It's like the Nazi Party being the bastard child of the right wing. Yes. You can be conservative and not be a fucking Nazi. Huh? But the problem is you got to be anti-Nazi. So the Nazi Party will always be right wing, but the right wing doesn't have to contain the Nazi Party. Some of people's favorite politicians were conservatives. The international affairs section's breaking my brain. And that's how you know you're in the right spot. Is that whether or not the American Socialist Party takes off and I have some major change to my life where I have to travel around and talk, I'm still going to sit right here for 90 minutes a day, keep my thumb on the pulse of what is going on in the world. So that when someone comes up to me, how do you feel about XYZ? You can speak not only with a sense of history, but with a sense of understanding of what is going on now and today. And so the good thing about being very grounded in who you are and what you're going to do is regardless of what happens, I know what I want, right? I even think as a president, and again, this is how I think. As a president of the United States, I think this is very presidential to sit every morning with a live audience, let people air out their fucking grievances, and fucking talk about what's going on, and have people really look at the president and say like, this is a person that can speak on international issues, can speak about current events, can speak about the history of things, and has an understanding of how we need to approach situations based on their actions with interactions with other countries, and kind of knowing who's communicating with who and who knows what, and not to mention all the information that gets hammered into the president, right? So that's kind of how I've thought about this, is like no matter what happens, I'm still going to be same OG. I'm still going to be this guy. It doesn't matter what happens. And I want to continue to remind you the primary reason that this regime started attacking Venezuelan people first is when you look at the size of population in the United States as it refers to like immigrants, Venezuelans were the smallest. There's only about 300,000 of them in the United States. It's the same thing when the president's attacking trans people. Trans people make up a small portion of the population. So you say calculated. I say they're cowards. Anytime you hear someone that's like anti trans, anti Venezuelan, like that's a coward right there. That's somebody that didn't want to be in a fight. Why? Because they chose the smallest group of people first. Cause and I don't know about running for any political office ever, but I know I would not be happy in a small role, right? I'm not a follower. I've never been like that. I don't even like politics. I'm a leader though, a natural leader in everything I've ever done. So if I'm gonna get into it, man, I don't want to be the two. That's for fucking sure. Why? Because every job I've ever had, that fucking asshole in front of me he sucks. Every job I've ever had, except one. When I was 15 years old, I worked at. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I do drugs. Um, when I was 15 years old, I had gotten my first job at like a big box store. I worked at Meyer pushing carts in the snow. And I had only ever really known hard work. So when I went and was getting paid $5 an hour, by the way, pushing carts in the fucking snow, my boss saw my work ethic and pulled me out of the fucking snow and stuck me on a register, gave me a raise, um, taught me how to do that job too, told me I could really work for the company in any aspect I wanted, and he'd help me. And he ended up getting promoted to the store manager. Um, and he asked me a couple times as like a young kid if I was ready to take the next step. And he was a gay man, and he ended up getting fired from his job at Meyer and Greenwood. And then I ran into him. He became a store manager elsewhere. But he was the best boss I'd ever had. hmm And then I also had a boss named Viv. Um, that was a my boss at Steak and Shake, and I worked for him for 2 years. And the thing that I remembered about my boss is that he was never afraid to get his fucking hands dirty, and that he'd get right in there and fill any hole. Oh, you need me to wait tables? I'll do it. You need me to make burgers? I'll make it. Shakes? I'll make it. Run your drive-thru? I'll make it. He could do all of those things. Um, and he told me that everyone should be able to do all of those things, like every Marine or rifleman, right? And I think about those were my two best bosses I ever had. This is really disappointing. Now, my staff sergeant when I was on active duty is the best leader I'd ever had, right? But since I've been home, my leadership everywhere has been piss poor. hmm See, Mike, no winners in a government shutdown. And I want to continue to make sure that we point out it's the Republicans that were bitching about having to go back to work that haven't worked. Tough, right? Apparently, there was a secret meeting that ended the shutdown. Honestly, I didn't think Donald Trump was going to sign that shit. If you want to know my fifis, I didn't feel like Donald Trump was going to sign that shutdown order. So, Rashida Tlaib, totally right. Enough Democrats chose to roll over as Trump signs a bill to end the shutdown. Exactly. Bad leaders should just get the fuck out of the way. White House scrambles to address voters' affordability concerns as Trump dismisses it. Let them eat cake, he said. Remember, he's anti-immigrant, right? He's gonna deport 14 million fucking people, right? But the Trump administration requested a record number of foreign workers in 2025. I wonder why this regime is requesting so many foreign workers. Could it be because nobody wants to work? Nobody wants to work from? Democrats are stupid and focusing on affordability over climate goals. I want to make sure that we point out how fucking stupid it is to be a Democrat and not speak about climate change as though it is real and a big driver of the increase of cost of living. It's a major factor driving affordability. Donald Trump just has to die. That's the thing about it. You cannot martyr him. If somebody were to take his life, you risk copycats. You risk people making themselves into Donald Trump reincarnated, like Erica Kirk is going to try and fail to do because she's not using her children as a body shield. One of the big complaints about Erica Kirk is that she's out doing all this shit. Where are your kids? Who's watching your kids? South Korea bans flights as 500,000 take crucial university admission test. And again, the reason that Democrats don't talk about climate change is because they still get money from big business, from billionaires, still fund Democratic policy, Democratic officials. The thing about it is that I'm not both sidesing anything. Republicans are traitors that took money from Russia. All of them. Democrats, some of them are okay. 100 of them take money from AIPAC. There's 54 of them that are part of the Blue Dog Caucus that vote conservatively and antithetical to the Democratic Party pretty consistently, which ties a lot of shit up. And I frequently wonder how many of the Blue Dog Caucus voted to reopen the government. And oh, by the way, I want to point out that each of the Democrats that decided to capitulate to the Republicans and vote to reopen the government had a um, a personal worth in excess of 1.5 million, all the way up to like 15 mil. So all of those Democrats voted with their pocketbook. They voted with their stock market accounts, their investment accounts, their own personal ones. hmm Lawyers say a 13-year-old girl was expelled for hitting a classmate who made a deep fake porn image of her in Donald Trump's United States. That's right. How about uh, an underage girl was expelled for defending herself after one of her male classmates made a porn image of her. How many of them took money from the airlines, right? In a story that should surprise absolutely no one, a man has plummeted to his death after slipping off the edge of the Grand Canyon. He was 65 years old, and if you think that was an accident, South Dakota hemp farmers. So keep this in mind. South Dakota is one of those places in the United States that has a super high percentage of not only Republican voters, but people on SNAP benefits. And that continuing resolution bill that was passed last night directly impacts hemp growers in South Dakota. Man who took Hamilton bus on joyride did a great job driving and left no dings. 36-year-old of no fixed address let passengers on and off at their bus stops? Huh. In Canada, I keep hearing dogs bark and I'm like, is that mine? No, mine are all in the house. Danish man giving suspended sentence for sharing nude film scenes. Jesus. Russia has tried for over a year to take Pokrovsk. Hundreds of its troops are now in the city. Okay, it's loud enough. It feels like it's in my house. I gotta check. I gotta check. Hold on. I'm happy to report, much like I have done every other time I go check and see if it's my dogs. It's not my dogs. Somebody else's dogs. Yep, only in Canada. Okay, let's see if Donald Trump fucks this up. Toyota has opened a U.S. battery plant and confirms a $10 billion investment plan. Okay. Hey, here's the best part about this. Not my fucking dogs barking their ass off on a cold ass morning. There's nothing that tilts me more as a dog owner when my fucking neighbors leave their animals outside for hours on end and just let them fucking bark. Yeah, my dogs are fucking angels. They're laying in the bedroom right now. They were laying on the floor looking up at me. Hey, what's up? Donald Trump, don't fuck up that Toyota plant, please. Now, I'm not the type of person to completely decry, magic or mysticism or whatever the fuck or whatever, but this Italian mystic is getting tried for fraud for trying to convince people that the statue of Virgin Mary cried blood. Such a dumb fucking decision. Remember, this is what Donald Trump has accomplished as a president. Nil. The current president of the United States, thus far in office, a year, he's basically, he got elected over a year ago, right? He has stopped the production of the penny. What did your president do in his second term in office? He stopped the production of the penny. No, like what did he accomplish? That's it. It's happening. I love how they're just slowly leaking out these emails. Aaron Parnas said no signs of Trump on Truth Social. That's weird. That's weird. Where's where's Donnie? Ah, yeah. Whooping cough cases skyrocket in Texas. God damn. I cannot imagine being a healthcare worker in Texas. Oh my God. That sounds awful. I'm like, I'm done with the news. Graham Plattner's leading Janet Mills and Susan Collins. Check the obits. Yeah, they probably wouldn't tell us if he did die. Remember, the next shutdown is 2 months away. This was merely a stay of execution. Just is what it is, right? Check this shit out. Epstein and Prince Andrew shared emails talking about how heinous Donald Trump is. Here's an article from The Atlantic about what Trump's tariffs have done. Bunch of fools! I agree. SNAP recipients feel betrayed and judged amid government shutdown. Video of him spraying cologne on the Syrian president and proceeded to ask how many wives he has. No, Gabby, I did not see that. God, I never judge a person on food stamps. You never know someone is on unemployment. You know what's always crazy is I hear poor people shit on poor people more than I've ever heard rich people shit on poor people. I've been homeless, been jobless. Now, I've risen just like I've fallen, right? But I never disrespected somebody for being on unemployment or food stamps. I never thought lesser of someone because of their struggle. I'm going to speak for a moment on my brother in law. My brother in law has some real problems, some real life adult ass problems. And I've never seen him as any of the things that other people do. I just want to help him, just care about him. And over the course of the relationship with his sister, right? My wife, we've just been through shit. And then one of the last things he said is that I know everyone just sees me as an addict. And I know it doesn't mean anything. But I told him I don't see you as an addict. Never never really looked at someone like that. I don't really see someone for their shortcomings. I see people for the judgment they lay on other people for their shortcomings. Hmm? Hmm. Democrats caved on the shutdown because of the filibuster. Did you know Turning Point USA was involved with January 6th? Yeah. How could you not figure that out? Like, of course, Turning Point USA, they were fundraising. They sent people to January 6th. Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. Part of the reason Charlie Kirk is dead is because he stood to gain power. Hmm. Donald Trump stoked the Epstein scandal, and now it's coming back to bite him. Yeah, Kirk sent his minions to their death. Hmm. The end of the government shutdown won't stop snap mayhem. A judge will hear arguments Thursday on the validity of Lindsay Halligan's appointment to lead the Eastern District of Virginia. Comey and James moved to disqualify her as a U.S. attorney. We gotta go. We gotta go. Sorry. You know me. I could just sit here all day. Ooh, look at this news story. Oh, look at this news story. Yeah. Let's eat the rich. Get out of here. Eat the rich, chuck the weather, and get out of here. 11 and I love a time. All right, y'all, bye. Here we go. Come on, y'all, bot. Hey, and it zoomed out immediately. Gonna be a good day, Tater. All right, so when you look at the radar today, the entire center 40 states, not a goddamn thing going on. Pretty happy to tell you from fucking Nevada all the way to fucking Pennsylvania, clear. From the goddamn southern tip of Florida and Texas to the fucking tip of North Dakota, clear. The West Coast, California getting absolutely gobsmacked by precipitation today from the very tip of Northern California all the way down halfway through the state. Okay, spots of rain in Oregon, big precipitation in Washington State. Okay, uh, moisture in the U.S. confined almost entirely to the West Coast. Now, I have to point out on the northeast part of this country, up in New York and farther north and east of that into Canada, there's not only precipitation, ice as well as the temperature cools. Record breaking heat wave, high fire danger to hit the plains on Friday. So, I just read that. Here is your link to. Yeah, hopefully not mudslides in California, all that rain. It looked like it was awfully northern California. It's got a lot of trees. Isn't as densely populated. Just keep your head on a swivel. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.